Today marks 2 years since a gunman opened fire inside the Central Visual and Performing Arts High School, killing a teacher and a student before police took him down.
The shooting sending fear and concern throughout our entire community. And people are still trying to cope with the tragedy to this very day. This is why we have team coverage this morning. Our Sydney Stallworth is live with advice from a mental health expert.
But first, let's start with Travis Cummings in South St. Louis. And Travis, how have the safety standards changed, and what's the message from students?
Michelle and Rennie, good morning to you. We're live here at the entrance of Central VPA this morning, where classes are canceled today. 2 years ago on this very day, so much change here on campus, and the school has made so many improvements, including adding officers on site as well as making some upgrades to their alarms. Now, just days ago, I sat down with one of the shooting victims, now a senior, to see how life has changed for him.
There are times where I think about it, but like, not in a triggering way.
Instead, Brian Collins uses one of the worst days of his life as a reminder to stay on track.
These characters are different characters from like different anime shows.
The high school senior is drawing again and playing video games. On October 24th, 2022, Collins ended up wounded in a hospital, unable to do anything. He was shot on the side of his face and in both wrists after a former student went into Central Visual and Performing Arts High School and opened fire.
It definitely feels better to be able to use my hands again.
So just seeing how he has navigated everything, I'm proud of him.
His mother, Vandina Washington, and several of his siblings are CVPA alums.
My senior year of high school, Columbine happened. Whenever anybody came to school at that point with like a black trench coat on or anything, we were all looking like, just kind of like, what's happening?
Washington, too, deals with trauma, moving her son's room to the basement for comfort.
A long anxiety that I don't know if I will ever get over.
2 years later, Washington is thankful for good relationships with staff at the school, but says communication from the district about security has been lackluster.
I was promised that I would get a timeline of the different construction things that was happening, and I never got a response after that.
Five on Your Side reached out to SLPS several times by phone and email about safety and support months leading up to the 2-year anniversary of the shooting, but got no response. Meanwhile, this family leans on each other and their faith.
Brian is a senior, Chloe is a sophomore, and I'm just like 2 more years. But I have empathy and compassion for all the other kids who are behind them.
By only looking forward, Colin says he can see the future more clearly.
When you really have a goal that you want to reach, that's something that will push you to stay doing what you're doing.
All right, let's get you back out live now with some specific action steps from the SLPS School Board. As we said earlier, Central VPA now has more security officers as well as more cameras and recording systems to improve monitoring here on campus. There's anti-intrusion film that's been installed, making that glass shatter resistant. All exterior doors have been replaced and classroom doors have been replaced or repaired. They've also made some alarm upgrades. And today the school has some off-campus activities planned for students and families, as well as that ongoing support for them. We're live in South City. Travis Cummings, 5 on Your Side.
Thank you, Travis. While it has been 2 years, the developments of that day continue to weigh on students, staff, and our first responders.
Our Sydney Stallworth is also joining us live. And Sydney, I know that you've been talking with a St. Louis psychologist who treats students in the area. Obviously, this is going to sit with some teens for the rest of their lives, right?
Michelle, Rennie, that's exactly right. When I was speaking with this psychologist, she's telling me that she's still discussing this shooting with her clients, many of whom were inside of CVPA when this shooting happened. You can imagine all of the feelings that could come with returning to this campus after this tragedy. Even where we're standing, guys, on the side of the school, we're just paces away from where the gunman entered to carry out this attack on CVPA. Dr. Smith says that most of us truly just don't understand what it's like to have survived an attack like this. But in speaking with her clients, she tells us what she hears most often is that this trauma is lingering with them.
I don't want to reach out. I don't want people to know. I should be over this. People have told me that I should be over this by now. This 2 years ago, and I should be feeling better. And you know, you weren't there. But all of those are the myths and the negative way that we learn to deal with it. But I would say first, reach out.
You know, last year marked the highest number of school shootings on record, almost one every day of last year. So how are students dealing with stress after the attacks? New research finds that young people who survive attacks like these have higher rates of antidepressant use, decline in average test scores, and even higher rates of dropping out of school. Dr. Smith also tells me the best way to heal from stress like this is to limit exposure and talk about your feelings. Now, we do want to talk about resources this morning. 988 is a national crisis helpline that you could call at any time 24/7. There's also a crisis text line that is available for you to use. That number is 741-741. And if you text the word connect, you can get in touch with a crisis counselor right away. Now, in our next half hour, we're going to be talking more about the mental health impacts today and how you're able to protect yourself and your health. And guess what, guys? That might come with turning this off. We're going to talk about disconnecting in our 6:30 half hour, but that's the latest from here in South St. Louis. I'm Sydney Stallworth, 5 on your side.
Thanks so much, Sydney. You know, tonight at 7, there will also be a prayer vigil at St. Margaret of Scotland Catholic Church.
Now, the community is welcome to come out, but organizers want parents to use discretion if you're planning to bring your little kids.